Analyzing and Presenting Data, Part 3, Qualitative Data. Aloha, I'm Dr. Catherine P. Fulford, Professor in Learning, Design, and Technology at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I'd like to give a special thanks to all those faculty who created content for this video. This is a 3-part video series. Part 1 is the introduction, Part 2 is quantitative data, and Part 3 is qualitative data. This video is Part 3, Qualitative Data. With qualitative data today, we're focusing on interviews, observations, and comments. Types of qualitative data. Conversation is the first one, in things like interviews and focus groups. Next is documents, things like text, web pages, and open-ended survey responses. Observation is next, things like field notes and case notes, and artifacts and other things like objects, photographs, and audio or video. There are some stages of qualitative data analysis. First, you want to familiarize yourself with your data. Read and reread, view and review. Take a look at all of your data carefully. Organize it. There may be a lot. You want to create some kind of data log, a list of data sources. Also create a reflective log, notes of your own thoughts and ideas. Organize the files by some structure, things like questions, people, etc. Then you want to code. Look for units of meaning in words, sentences, phrases, patterns, or events. Create names or codes to reflect some underlying concepts or principles that you see, or use codes from literature based on theories or models. Reduce. In other words, take those larger units and resort them into categories. Then link those categories to create themes and show connections. Next, you want to interpret. You want to tell a story that's supported by the data. Then you want to represent. In other words, typically text augmented by graphs, pictures, diagrams, figures, or frameworks. You can use software like Deduce, InVivo, MaxQDA, etc. We're going to be showing you some different ways of visualizing your qualitative data. So presenting that qualitative data can be presented in words, text, visual images, as well as sound. Qualitative data visualization. Text is the first most likely. Once you've done a content analysis of the overall text, you can build clusters and hierarchies of similar and dissimilar information. Things like word clouds, word trees, semantic networks, quotes. In the cognitive area, you want to connect themes and phrases meaningfully. Things like mind maps, concept maps, and theoretical maps will help you here. Then with text and image, you can convey messages, tell stories by layering information. Things like storyboarding are helpful here. In terms of spatiotemporal areas, you can explore data that changes over time. Things like timelines, geographic information systems, or GIS maps. Quotes are often used by researchers in both their analysis as well as their visualization. Let your participants tell their own story. Pick quotes that represent your findings. Though, do not identify your participants. Instead, use pseudonyms, roles, numbers, letters, etc. And do not use photographs without IRB approval and a signed release. Instead, use legally obtained images, like this one. Use quote marks or italics. Here is an example of a good quote. This instruction changed the way I see nursing. This is from Mary, a nurse supervisor. And of course, this is not actually a picture of Mary, but one that represents her. You can also use word clouds. These have become really popular. It shows what your data was telling you from the comments from your users. So what's important to the users really jumps out at you. Though it can help, this should not be your only means of analysis and visualization. Mind maps are also another good visualization tool. You'll need to put some work into this, using all those codes that you have found and now displaying them in a way that makes sense. Here's another mind map. You can see that they're very visually different. There are many ways to use mind maps and a lot of different kinds of free software out there for you to use. Here's one called a stream graph that's very interesting. It's used to show a time sequence. So you want to let the images tell your story. We hope you enjoy telling your own story. This is the end of this video series. However, if you're interested in learning more about instructional design, visual design, and learning design, you can search on YouTube for Catherine Fulford to learn more.